friendship that'll never ever end.
Run!
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Reaction video 572. That neighborhood. My brothers and sisters, our very first live stream was supposed to be today. But long story short story long, it got postponed to next Saturday. But that also gives us the opportunity to check this video out from this man that he just put out a couple of hours ago. And that man is Ryan from Tragedy Tales. Back to Tragedy Tales, y'all. And the title of the video is Protestor Peril. 5 clips before horror. Number 14. Now, I'm just wondering, is it the protester who is in peril, or is the protester putting somebody else in peril? You know what I'm saying? Who is in danger in this freaking situation? I don't freaking know, y'all, but I'm so excited to see. But before we see, my brothers and sisters, y'all know what y'all got to do. Get whatever you might need. Get what you need, please. We are back to Ryan from Tragedy Tales. Y'all got what y'all need, y'all ready to go? Then let's go.
If my videos teach you anything, it's to live your life. Our lives play out in a single frame in an endless film that is the universe. In 100 years, no one will remember that you or I existed. So go on that holiday, stop to smell the roses, and remember to smile. Because just like the clips featured in this video, 1 minute we're here, and the next, we're gone.
Gone.
Hey folks, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Ryan from Tragedy Tales, and without any dilly-dally, this week I've dug back into my bag of horrors to bring you 5 more clips, captured moments before horror, from the man who went absolutely mental at a group of protesters, to the man who ignored every single red flag, leading to his fiery demise.
Ooh.
As usual, we've got clips from all across the globe, guaranteed to leave you gawping. So strap in and draw the curtains, let's get right into it.
Get whatever you may need. And I just gotta speak on some real ish that Ryan said at the beginning of this video, y'all, in his intro. 100 years from now, nobody gonna know who the freak we was. You know what I'm saying, man? Unless you some type of like high level freaking celebrity. 100 years from now, 21, 20, 24, ain't nobody gonna give a damn about our ass. We gonna be ash to ashes, dust to dust. That's just real talk, man. And that's why we gotta just appreciate and remember every moment that we can, because life is gonna go on without us. One day being team. That's just real talk. Let's go. Number 5.
Now this entry is one that many of you may be familiar with, as it hit international news not that long ago. However, I held off telling it because the case was still ongoing and I wanted to wait until sentencing to tell it. But if you're not familiar with this case, it has to be one of the most crazy and just stupid entries I have ever covered. This entry begins on the 7th of November 2023 in Chalme, Panama. But the events leading up to this day started in October of 2023. Panama experienced significant protests, primarily against a controversial mining contract between the local government and First Quantum Minerals, a Canadian mining company. Many were unhappy that the government passed a 20 to 40-year mining contract with First Quantum Minerals, which the local population felt was overly generous to the mining company and would ultimately be detrimental to the environment and the enjoyment of their local community. These protests, which started in October, only grew more and more intense due to the insufficient government response. They just kind of ignored it. These protests attracted larger and larger crowds until eventually something had to give. On the 7th of November, these protests reached their peak with multiple roads being blocked all across Panama, ports were closed, and clashes with law enforcement were widespread. On the 7th, these protests were so intense that over 1,000 people were arrested in one single day.
Damn.
Almost every road was blocked by protesters, leading some to see red.
Did you hear what Ryan just said? Over 1,000 people was arrested in one day during these protests. And see, this the thing about protests, y'all, just in my opinion, man. The longer they go on, the bigger they get, the worse it's gonna get at the end. You know what I'm saying? Like, something is gonna come to a head and it's gonna be bad. Either some people gonna lose their life or some people gonna go to jail. But hell, they already got people, thousands of people in a day going to jail. So what's the next thing that you think gonna happen? Either the protesters losing their life or the protesters may shoot the police or one of the people who don't like the protesters. Like, it all just adds up to something bad. And I think that's where we going right now. Let's go.
One individual who just could not control himself was 77-year-old retired American lawyer and former university professor Kenneth Darlington. That day, Kenneth had been running errands with his wife Jessica, along with a friend, when they encountered severe road blockages due to the protests. He pipped his horn and waited, but of course they didn't move. This is when Kenneth reportedly said to his wife and the other person in the car, "This ends here," before stepping out of the vehicle like he was a main character or something. Then, in front of a large number of photographers and television crews that were there to film the protest, Kenneth slowly approached the group of protesters and demanded that they open the street. Now, being a former lawyer and a university professor, he's well educated and intelligent, so you'd think he'd go about this strategically, but no. Kenneth quickly lost his temper, and less than 30 seconds after getting out of the car, he pulled out a previously concealed pistol from his pocket. All captured on film, pistol in hand, Kenneth pointed it towards the protesters, but they did not budge. The presence of his weapon barely made the protesters flinch at all.
That's This is just crazy, y'all. I just got to talk about this whole point right here because this is crazy on so many levels. Number one, is crazy because, like Ryan said, he a freaking lawyer. Like, he got a background in knowing what's right and wrong at the highest of degrees. You know what I'm saying? And for him to walk out here like this and pull this gun out is freaking crazy. But another thing that I can say about this, what makes it so crazy, but I understand it, is the fact that the protesters not even shooken up by him pulling that gun out. And the reason I believe that they not shooken up because they not believing that this mother just gonna start shooting. He got cameras, as y'all can see later on in the clip. It's a cameraman who walked behind them and see him holding this freaking gun. If more than anything, they probably thinking that he is with them and he'll shoot the police before he shoot them. Like, they not threatened by his freaking gun, y'all. But boy, I think they about to realize not being threatened is a terrible mistake.
Kenneth then got into a heated argument with one of the protesters, and things spiraled out of control. Kenneth threatened to shoot the protesters, but they still refused to move. So, in a fit of rage, Kenneth pointed the gun towards one of the protesters And in the footage, someone can be heard saying, "Why don't you shoot?" While others shouted, "Are you going to kill someone?" Kenneth can then be heard replying, "Do you want to be the first?" before he pulled the trigger, shooting.
And see, that's what I'm saying, man. Like, them people didn't think that he actually was gonna carry out that shit. You know what I'm saying? Because they thinking all these people around, all these cameras on him. There's no way that this dude gonna just randomly kill some people like this. You know what I'm saying? Because if you do, your ass going to prison. You know what I'm saying? But you can't trust these mother out here, man. I can't trust nobody as far as I can throw them. That's the thing I live by. I don't trust you as far as I can throw you, and my little ass can't throw your ass too far at all. You know what I'm saying? So hell no. I would have believed Kenneth, but I can understand why they didn't actually believe in that moment that he would actually do the crazy ish that he did.
Protestor Abdel Diaz in cold blood, just because he wouldn't move from the road. As Abdel fell to the ground, the road didn't immediately clear, so Kenneth pulled the trigger again, shooting down Ivan Rodriguez. Both of these men were teachers protesting for the sake of their local community.
Oh my God.
As the two men...
And let me tell y'all what I do in this situation, because now I'm pissed off, because I never said this, but now I'm gonna say it for y'all. He in the wrong. What he is doing is freaking wrong, man. You may be mad at these people because they blocking the road, but that don't give you the right to freaking shoot them. You know what I'm saying? And just seeing that clip just didn't piss me off. But what I'm saying, what I would have been, where I would have been in this situation, if I was amongst those group of protesters, what I would have did, and I'm not saying I would have had it on me, but I would have at least had it in the car. You know what I'm saying? I would have went and got my thing, you know what I'm saying? My pistol or whatever. And I would have concealed it. And I would have came back to the scene. He would have never known I had it. But I would have been waiting. In the first moment he pointed or shot anybody, I would have put one in his goddamn head. Real talk. He wouldn't even got a chance to shoot nobody else. You know what I'm saying? He may have shot that one person because I don't know if he gonna actually carry out these plans. Just like them people ain't know he was gonna carry it out. You know what I'm saying? So I would have sat back. I would have waited. But as soon as I seen him do anything crazy, I'm pulling it out. It's already cocked. It's ready to rock. You know what I'm saying? Kabang. Like seriously, man. That's just me. I did not expect us to start off like this with something like this. Jesus Christ.
And slumped to the ground. Screams echoed out as blood trickled down the road. Now I can't see any reports or footage to indicate that these protesters assaulted Kenneth or even threatened him for that matter. Using lethal force was completely uncalled for. Immediately after shooting these two innocent men, Kenneth got back into his car as if nothing happened, and then pleaded to his wife to drive from the scene, but she of course refused. Ambulances and police rushed to the scene, but sadly, Abdel was already dead. Ivan was rushed to the hospital, but he also sadly later died. A road rage incident had ended 2 people's lives. As Kenneth's wife refused to drive away from the scene, Kenneth, being 77 years old, could not flee. The police arrived at the scene and arrested Kenneth shortly after in his car, and then this all hit international headlines. This case spread like wildfire. All across the world, this made headlines for Kenneth's ridiculousness and his callousness. Viewers online were shocked at the raw and shocking footage, and were even more shocked to discover that he was a former university professor and American lawyer. Just watching the footage, it left me genuinely flabbergasted. This photo was snapped the moment Kenneth pulled the trigger. You can even see the casing still in the air, but Kenneth's face as he pulled the trigger was as if he wasn't bothered by it all. This is the kind of face that you make when you take out the trash and a little bit of juice gets on your finger. It's absolutely disgusting behaviour from Kenneth here, and the fact this all escalated within the space of a minute after him getting out of his car, it says a lot about Kenneth himself.
Yeah.
In the days following this incident, numerous ceremonies and vigils were held to honour the victims' memories. Friends, family members and colleagues, as well as community members, gathered for their funerals and masses. While sadness was strong in the air, it was clear the community expressed a strong desire for justice. Now, we get these protests in the UK, for example the Just Stop Oil ones, but this is my personal opinion and you're all entitled to yours. While I am all for the cause of standing in the road and stopping people from going about their day to day, and more importantly, stopping ambulances and the police from reaching their intended destinations, is not the correct way to go about anything. It's not going to achieve nothing. However, just on the flip side, reacting like Kenneth did in pure rage and anger is also no way to go about it.
No
Violence
way.
is never the answer, and this whole event was just so uncalled for. Kenneth, being a retired lawyer, as well as a university professor, definitely should have known better. And to believe his wife is just going to drive away from the scene and be part of the crime, he's absolutely crazy.
Crazy.
Kenneth remained in police custody following his arrest until his court case in May of 2024. When the case started, Kenneth arrived at his court hearing escorted by police officers and was brought into the courthouse through the rear side of the building while a group of teachers protested nearby. In court, the judge played the various video clips of the shooting, and Kenneth reportedly sat there in complete silence, looking at the ground, and most importantly, showing zero remorse. In court, it was revealed that Kenneth had no license to carry, making the gun an illegal firearm. At this point, Kenneth's defense attorney began clutching at straws, requesting an evaluation to determine his mental state during the incident, potentially arguing that his actions could have been influenced by his age and his mental health. While the result of this report cannot be found publicly, I guess you can all figure it out, because on June the 11th, 2024, Kenneth was found guilty of 2 charges of aggravated intentional homicide and unlawful possession of a firearm, and was sentenced to 48 years in prison.
Woo!
Due to the length of the sentence, as well as the severe nature of his crimes, it's unlikely that Kenneth will ever be granted bail, meaning he'll spend the rest of his days behind bars, all because of a stupid decision he made, because he couldn't wait in the road, and because he was impatient.
Woo! My brothers and sisters, man, for a second I thought Ryan was about to tell us that he was found not guilty or now he free. You know what I'm saying? They gave him 40 years, whatever. It don't even matter at that point because he's 77 freaking years old. So at 40 years, he will not be alive no more. We can all comfortably say that. You know what I'm saying, man? And I'm freaking happy for that. Y'all know how I feel about these freaking murderers, y'all. Especially like that. Like, dude, that was you completely all the way in the wrong. And then you think your wife, and shout out to his wife. And it's sad for his wife too, because she probably been married to the man all these freaking years. Y'all old as freak. Y'all old as freak. You know what I'm saying, man? And you do some crazy stuff like this after 77 freaking years of being on this earth. This how you decide to spend the rest of your days in prison because you murdered some people because they won't get out the road? Oh my God, y'all. We have started on a 10. We have started on a 10. We went from 0 to 10, 0 to 100. Maybe I should say we started on 100 with Ryan with that one, man. Number 5 was crazy, man. And rest in peace to those 2 guys that lost their lives. And it just go back to what I was saying earlier, y'all, man. These freaking protests, they can get bad, man. The longer they go on, the worse they can get. Let's go to number 4. Number 4.
Talking about making a mistake, this insane entry begins on January the 18th, 2024, in a country where I seem to find a hell of a lot of crazy clips, India. Or more specifically, Hyderabad. That eventful Thursday night was to be a big celebration for the 25th anniversary of Viztex, an international software company founded in 1999. Now, Viztex's main aim was to help companies with their international sales, featuring a serious client list, one that included General Motors and even Coca-Cola. To mark this very special occasion, Viztex organised a big evening in Hyderabad and invited over 700 employees to attend. The event was held at the Ramoji Film City in Hyderabad, a location that likely provided a grand and suitable venue for such a significant milestone. At the venue, there was a large concrete stage adorned with fireworks and pyrotechnics, directly opposite a large room that was full of guests and tables. Now that night, it was such a big celebration that company CEO, 56-year-old Sanjay Shah, along with 52-year-old Visitex president Raju Datla, were scheduled to appear to greet the employees and give a speech. The CEO and the president appearing at one of these celebration nights was something completely unheard of, so employees dressed well and ensured that they did not miss this occasion. So that night, the party opened its doors to a big reception of guests. They all seated and awaited the big entrance of Sanjay and Raju. Drinks were shared, and as the room filled to capacity, music began to blare on the speakers. Soon, the pyrotechnics activated. It was time to kickstart the night. As the music...
Man, I just feel like this whole place finna catch on fire, man, with these pyrotechnics. How many freaking videos we have watched from Ryan from Tragedy Tales about freaking pyrotechnics and these freaking just fires just breaking out in these small confined spaces, and then a whole bunch of people getting stampeded on, and just the most tragedy tales that you can think about happening. Seems like we're about to find out about another one. Let's find out.
It swelled and reached its peak. Out came a large iron cage suspended approximately 15 feet in the air by 2 metal ropes. In this cage were the CEO and the company's president, who wanted to impress their employees by entering in the most epic way possible. As a voice on the speaker implored the crowd to put their hands together, the cage, illuminated by a spotlight, ever so carefully lowered towards the ground. Shouts and screams filled the room. It was amazing. But what was designed to be a celebration of success soon turned tragic. As the cage lowered and wobbled towards the ground, the unthinkable occurred. In front of 700 people, one of the cables lost its tension, causing the cage to suddenly drop to one side. This motion caused both the men to lose their balance, sending them both tumbling 15 feet to the ground below, one landing headfirst. Ambulances rushed to the scene, but sadly, CEO Sanjay had died on impact. President Raju was left in critical condition, but it looks like he may make a full recovery. The 700 or so guests were left shocked and disturbed by what they saw. A simple work evening celebration had become the stuff of nightmares. Although the cause was initially attributed to a snapped wire, it doesn't look like anything snapped to me. Officials are investigating this incident and the faulty cage, stating that it could have been an issue with the machine that was lowering them to the ground. In the aftermath, Visitex announced a full internal review and pledged to support Shah's family and the injured Raju. The company emphasized its commitment to ensuring such an incident never happens again, promising to implement more stringent safety measures in the future.
That was crazy, man. And I was wrong. I was thinking that when he started talking about the pyros and stuff, I'm thinking like this place finna catch on fire. You know what I'm saying? Long story short, short story long. But that was not the case. Those dudes fell, and I agree with Ryan. I didn't see no freaking wire snap or nothing. I don't know how the freak they fell, but I hate they fell, man. And rest in peace. I think his name Saju or Raju. Rest in peace to him, man. I hope the other guy actually still survived. That is a long freaking way to fall, and for it to be captured on camera, and for all those hundreds of people to be in there when it happened, just another tragedy tale. Just another tragedy tale. Let's go to number 3. Number 3.
On March the 26th, 2024, at precisely 1:28 a.m., as many of the residents of Baltimore slept peacefully in their beds, an ordinary night quickly turned into horror. But before we can get into that night, we need a bit of background. In the east of downtown Baltimore lies the Francis Scott Key Bridge. Ever since its completion in 1977, the 2.7-kilometer long structure had been essential for connecting parts of the city, with over 30,000 cars passing over it each and every day. The bridge also supported significant maritime traffic. It was truly iconic in the area. Because of its importance, the bridge had been regularly inspected and maintained, but on its latest inspection, it was clear that there was loads of potholes that needed sorting. So, on March the 26th, at around 1 a.m, Maintenance workers arrived at the bridge to carry out their work. Traffic was still flowing in and out, but because it was 1 a.m, it wasn't very busy. Earlier that night, at 12:44 a.m, a massive container ship called the Dali departed the port of Baltimore bound for Colombo, Sri Lanka. The ship carried goods for major companies and was guided by 2 local harbour pilots that left soon after departing. At 1:24 a.m, the ship suffered a complete blackout and began to drift out of the shipping channel. While a backup generator started and supported electrical systems, unfortunately, it did not provide power to the propulsion system. At 1:27 a.m, after attempts to restart the electrical systems failed, a mayday call was made from the ship, notifying the Maryland Department of Transportation that the crew had lost propulsion and control over the vessel, and a collision with the Francis Scott Key Bridge was possible. One of the pilots requested that traffic be stopped from crossing the bridge immediately, and less than 40 seconds later, the last moving vehicle had left. The ship dropped its anchor, but ultimately, it was too late. At 1:28 a.m, around a minute after the mayday call was made, the ship struck the bridge, travelling at roughly 8 knots or around 9 miles or 15 kilometers an hour. Now this doesn't sound very fast, but at the time, the ship was loaded to roughly half of its full capacity, carrying nearly 4,700 containers of cargo, estimated to weigh around 189,000 tons. The impact was devastating. Within seconds, the bridge broke apart and crumpled like it was nothing. It broke apart in several places, leaving sections protruding from the water and the roadway's approaches cut off. I
just gotta say real quick, y'all, I knew that something bad was gonna happen when the ship hit the bridge, but I didn't know the whole freaking bridge was just gonna collapse like some freaking Legos, like we playing freaking Jenga. You know what I'm saying? You pull the little piece out, then the whole goddamn Jenga just fall. Is that the word that I'm supposed to be using that game, where you keep pulling pieces out, then the whole thing collapse? Y'all know what I'm talking about, man. I did not expect for this to happen, and as far as I could see, I don't think anybody was on the bridge at that time, so hopefully that's not the case. And I feel like they should have been contacted the police or the authorities or whoever a long time ago to shut this bridge down, because we were potentially about to crash into it way before they actually did. But I appreciate them actually trying to. But as far as, like I said, I don't think that nobody died on the bridge, but now I'm worried about the people on the actual ship. This is crazy, man. I did not expect. Did y'all see how that bridge, London Bridge, came falling down? Like it just collapsed.
A span fell onto the ship's bow, and a section of it came to rest there. The workers that were unable to flee tumbled 200 feet into the cold, dark waters below. A resident that lived near the bridge recalled being awakened by a deep rumbling that shook his residence and that lasted several seconds. He thought he was in an earthquake.
I need one of you guys on the south side, one of you guys on the north side, hold all traffic on the Key Bridge. There's a ship approaching that just lost their steering. So until you get that under control, we gotta stop all traffic. Just make sure no one's on the bridge right now.
C-13 dispatch, the whole bridge just fell down. Start, whoever, everybody. The whole bridge just collapsed.
The whole bridge.
That's the Key Bridge.
Yeah, it is.
Wow.
That ship that's underneath there lost its steering.
It lost its steering?
Yeah.
Is it on fire or is that just lights?
No, that's just lights. We got a call, like probably a minute, if that, before it hit it.
Really?
Yeah.
You have Frankfurt 87 for the tow.
This is going to be a hell of a cleanup.
Good morning, everybody. We're coming on a bit early with breaking news. A horrifying scene in Baltimore this morning. The Francis Scott Key Bridge struck by a cargo ship and collapsing overnight.
A cargo ship struck one of the support structures, one of the pylons, if you will, holding up the Francis Scott Key Bridge. And with that, the entire bridge, as you saw in that video, collapsed. Nobody on the ship is missing, we believe. However, the concern is that there may have been construction workers on top of the bridge when the bridge was struck, and that they may have gone into the water.
Emergency response teams arrived swiftly, but they quickly realised that this was a large-scale disaster. The Coast Guard deployed boats and a helicopter as part of the rescue efforts, and a large search and rescue effort began to find the workers that were on the bridge. 50 drivers in 8 teams were dispatched to search for the people, but sadly, with just a minute between the mayday and the collapse, there just wasn't enough time for them to escape.
Damn.
In the end, 6 construction workers lost their lives just attending a day at work.
Damn.
2 others were severely injured, while 2 more were rescued from the river. The bridge collapse had immediate and far-reaching consequences. The critical shipping route to and from the Port of Baltimore was blocked, halting all the ships coming in and out, impacting over 8,000 jobs. Now at first, this looked like a random and unavoidable accident, but in the days following the collapse, it was revealed that the Dali, the shipping boat, had experienced 2 power outages while docked in Baltimore, the most recent occurring just hours before departure.
Wow.
An anonymous source disclosed that an alarm had been going off on the ship due to inconsistent power supply, but these were ignored. Despite all of these warnings, the ship still set sail, leading to the tragic and crazy events that unfolded. I'm no captain, but surely the ship shouldn't have set sail if it had all these electrical faults before they even left. It seems pretty negligent to me.
Yes, man, this is one of those cases of freaking negligence, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Putting other people's lives in danger because you not being safe. You not being safe, now you got my life in danger. Rest in peace to those guys, those construction workers that died, y'all, on that freaking bridge, man. And I hope they family get some money. Long story short, story long. Money will never bring them back, but I feel like some type of compensation need to be had.
At the time of writing this, multiple investigations are still underway, including one by the National Transportation Safety Board, and one from the FBI. Preliminary findings suggest that the bridge, despite being in satisfactory condition, lacked any modern protective measures to withstand impacts from large vessels, which is another reason it crumbled like it was nothing. The rest of the investigations are focusing on potential negligence and the ship's electrical issues prior to departure. The ship's owner and operator could face significant legal liabilities. To add to this, there are ongoing lawsuits from victims' families and the affected businesses seeking compensation for damages and losses. But this was just crazy. That footage is just wild. Plans are now underway to replace the bridge by the fall of 2028, with an estimated cost of 1.7 to 1.9 billion US dollars. However, even when the bridge is fully rebuilt, the bridge and the surrounding area will be forever marred by this crazy tragedy, a tragedy that shocked the entire world.
Man, you right, Ryan. Shocked the entire world. It just shocked the hell out of me, man, because I did not expect that bridge to go down like it went down, y'all. Like it crumbled like a slice of bread that you'd have had out on your goddamn countertop for a freaking week. You know what I'm saying? When the bread get all hard and it's easy to create crumbs out of it. That's what happened to that bridge, man. I hope the new one they build is stronger and sturdier than that one. Jesus, rest in peace, man. And like I said, I hope some compensation is gave at least to those families of the people that lost their lives. This has been good. Let's go to number 2, Bean Team. Number 2.
Football. While I'm not a big fan personally, millions across the world absolutely love it. Fans flock to the stadiums, filling the seats in the hope that their team scores. When a goal is scored, the fans go wild, and the players often celebrate with an emote, a trick, or something special to mark the moment. These moments of joy are often the highlight of a football game, but in this case, it was the complete opposite. This horrifying event unfolded on October the 14th, 2014. In India, once again, or more specifically at the Lamal Stadium in Aizawl, Mizoram. That chilly October night, it was to be a regular fixture in the Mizoram Premier League. Bethlehem Vengthang Football Club was facing off against the Chanmari West Football Club. Locals flocked to the stadium, expecting a fun night but what they witnessed would stick with them forever. As the game began, everything was going well. The ball was getting kicked from side to side, as you do in football, until the 62nd minute. 23-year-old Bethlehem Vengfang player named Peter Biaksangzuala came into the box. Peter, a midfielder known for his aggressiveness, hard work, and team spirit, was determined to win. That day, like many other games just like it, Peter rushed into the box, he took the shot, and he scored. The crowd erupted with joy, and to celebrate, Peter chose to perform a backflip in front of the crowds at home and in the stadium. Without much thought, Peter leapt into the air, but unfortunately, it seems that he made a fatal miscalculation. As Peter leapt backwards, there just wasn't enough force to make it all the way over. Instead of landing on his feet, Peter instead landed awkwardly on his neck with all of his weight.
Oh my God! What the?
Players quickly realised that Peter had seriously injured himself because he did not respond or move. Teammates and opponents alike rushed to his aid as he lay motionless on the ground. Spectators were shocked to see a game that was literally playing fine, no problems, and within the space of a minute, it had turned into horror.
Yes, man, like the crowd went from cheering, oh, he just scored, Peter, he just scored, being all happy, to seeing him do a basic backflip and freaking landing on his neck. And I don't know if he did or not, y'all, but he probably is, man. I hate to say that, but even if he not dead, just the significance of that injury just killed the whole crowd. Crowd went from being happy to being in shock and sad and all that other stuff. You know what I'm saying? And see, clips like this is one of the reasons that I never, growing up, y'all, and maybe this was happening in y'all neighborhoods and stuff, but the cool kids used to know how to flip. You know what I'm saying? But me, all I knew how to do was a cartwheel. You know what I'm saying? I could never do the backflip. We called it a note. You hit the note where you just basically do a backflip. You stand on your feet, you do the flip, and you land back on your feet from the back. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the cool dudes used to know how to do that ish when I was growing up, elementary, junior high and stuff. Some of these freaking dudes, they used to know how to freaking literally run on the wall, like run on the wall with their feet and do a backflip over. But I never did none of that stuff. I never learned how to do none of that stuff. And the number one reason why is because of what we just saw right there. Because when I did try to learn how to start doing backflips, man, I was so freaking scared of freaking landing on my neck, my face, all that stuff just used to scare the ish out of me. And seeing him do that, it made me say that I'm glad I didn't. I'm just gonna say that, my brothers and sisters. I'm just gonna say that. This is freaking crazy for this to happen just out of nowhere in a freaking soccer football game. Wow.
Peter was rushed to a nearby hospital and taken into the intensive care unit. After x-rays and scans were conducted, it was clear that the damage was extensive. In the fall, he'd landed on his neck with extreme force, causing severe spinal cord injuries. An operation was conducted to stabilise his spinal cord, but unfortunately it was not effective, and Peter died in the hospital 5 days later, on Sunday the 19th of October 2014. The footage that showed his untimely demise is truly shocking and haunting. In response to the tragedy, players and fans expressed their condolences and remembered him for his contributions to the sport. To honour his memory, Peter's club, Bethlehem Vengfang Football Club, announced that they would also retire his jersey number 21. I've seen loads and loads of footballers celebrate a goal by doing a backflip. It seems that in this case, Peter made that jump and something tiny went wrong, and it cost him his life.
Damn, man. That's one of the most like saddest tragedy tales I ever freaking heard, man. Just for him to do a backflip, try to attempt a backflip, and it cost him his life. And then you add on to the fact of the situation and what was going on, and he was celebrating, the crowd celebrating, everybody celebrating, and then that happened, man. Rest in peace to him. Jesus, that's just crazy. I don't know why that one kind of hit me harder, y'all. I can't even explain why. Let's go to number 1. Shout out to Ryan, man, for another great Tragedy Tales video. Number 1.
In life, we sometimes ignore multiple red flags and make decisions despite knowing the dangers. However, while some risks might be worth taking, one that involves your life is not one of them. This unusual story begins in Fort Lauderdale in Florida on December the 1st, 2018. Now that day was significant for 51-year-old pilot Eladio Marquez. Eladio was about to make a life-changing purchase, a Cessna 335 that he'd been eyeing up on eBay. Without seeing it in person, Eladio bought the plane for $50,000, a relatively low price for this kind of aircraft. The only catch was that in the listing, it stated that it had been sitting for years with little maintenance and was due its annual service. Despite these issues, however, the listing claimed that with a lick of paint, the plane would be a sweet ride. But for a bit of background, Eladio had arrived in the United States from the Dominican Republic on a work visa in 1989. He liked the USA so much that he decided to stay and become a pilot. By 2018, he'd been a pilot for 12 years and a flight instructor for 10. Carrying approximately 1,000 hours flight time under his belt. Seeing an opportunity to use this aircraft for personal purposes, or maybe start his own ferry business, Eladio travelled from his home in New Jersey to Palm Beach, where the plane was located, to pick it up. However, upon arriving at Palm Beach, he quickly discovered that the aircraft needed far more than just an annual service, as the listing had described. The plane had been sitting in Palm Beach for over 5 years with virtually no maintenance, leading to extensive corrosion and significant engine problems. Despite these issues being clear at the point of sale, Eladio saw potential in the twin-engined aircraft, and he proceeded with the purchase. Shortly after, he hired pilot Luis Hernandez to fly the plane from Palm Beach International Airport to Fort Lauderdale for maintenance, a distance of around 33 miles.
Oh no, man, I would have never took this plane into the air until I started to get it fixed on. Now I understand he was trying to get it to the place, the destination where he can get it worked on. But I feel like you got to bring the work to the destination, to the actual place that this plane is already at, man. Like, because it's in such bad condition. Like, this is just one of those things that you don't play with. You know what I'm saying? You don't play around with a freaking effed up plane and potentially flying it in the air. I don't know if that's what's about to happen. They about to crash or whatever before they actually get to the destination where they trying to fix it at. But it seemed like that's where we going.
Despite this short flight, after this, Luis warned Eladio that he'd experienced significant and worrying engine issues while flying, saying that under no circumstances should he fly it or let anyone else fly it, or they would go kill themselves. Now that is pretty damning. With the plane now in Fort Lauderdale, Eladio sought professional help to make it airworthy. Determined to restore the aircraft, it seems he underestimated the cost and the complexity involved. By November...
So they did actually get it to Fort Lauderdale, you know what I'm saying? So this, now it seems like we're going to a 3 strikes you out type of deal, you know what I'm saying? Then the dude who flew the plane the first time told you, man, don't let nobody else fly this freaking plane until it's ready to actually go. 3 strikes you out.
But after spending thousands of dollars and countless man hours, the plane was no better and was still suffering from significant issues. Facing mounting storage costs and the pressure to relocate the aircraft, Eladio was eager to get it airworthy and move it to New Jersey, where he had better resources and lower storage costs. But the task just got more difficult and more complicated. Eladio called upon his friend and fellow pilot Alexander Donato to assist with the repairs. And all throughout November, the pair worked on the plane, conducting numerous engine tests, but still the outlook remained grim. Now this brings us all the way to December the 1st. Eladio had had enough and decided that it was now time to move the plane home. Despite unresolved issues and advice from several people to not fly the plane, Eladio chose to take a risk and fly it from Florida to his home in Rahway, New Jersey. A journey of approximately 1,056 miles. Now this was a bold decision considering the plane had barely managed 33 miles less than a year ago, but besides, what could possibly go wrong? On that cold morning, additional engine runs were performed. Eladio and his friend Alexander, who had been assisting with the repairs, hopped into the cockpit, ready for the flight. The engine started, and seemingly without fault, the plane soared into the sky. But not for long. Within 30 seconds, tragedy struck with brutal force. Soon after takeoff, a fire erupted in the left engine, causing an instantaneous loss of power. The small plane quickly tumbled out of the sky and skidded along the ground at an insane speed. The aircraft then plowed into the side of a building housing a therapy center for children with autism located near Fort Lauderdale Airport. As it crashed into the side of this building, fuel sprayed everywhere, and seconds after impact, the plane burst into a deadly fireball, throwing plane debris and burning fuel in all directions. The distance from where they took off to where they crashed was approximately 1 mile.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like, if you really think about it, like, these dudes were so in over their head. They thought they were going to take this plane from freaking Florida to New Jersey, New York, something Ryan said, somewhere up way along the East Coast. You know what I'm saying? Y'all ain't even make it 30 seconds into the flight. You made it a mile away from where you started. That just lets you know how bad of a condition this plane was in. And the reason I was saying, like, 3 strikes, y'all, is because I feel like they very first strike was you just buying this tore up ass plane. I'm just gonna go and put it out there, man. The damn plane was fucking trash. I'm just gonna go and say it, man. Bought this raggedy ass fucking plane, and then you kind of patch it up a little bit. Your first strike was buying it. Your second strike was you patch it up a little bit, and then you have somebody to freaking fly it, and they made it. Thank God that he made it. And then he telling you, man, that don't let nobody else freaking get in this plane. You know what I'm saying? It's the second strike. Don't let nobody else do it. Then y'all get in it, and a mile later, 30 seconds later, long story short, story long, you done crashed into freaking people in the public. And that's another thing, man. You not only putting yourself in danger when you doing crazy ish like this, the damn plane can come crash into my house or y'all house, Bean Team. You know what I'm saying? You're putting other people in danger too. Did I get it all out? Do y'all understand what I'm saying, man? Let's go.
Absolutely insane. Emergency services and fire teams arrived quickly at the scene. The building they'd impacted was evacuated, and miraculously, nobody inside was injured. But sadly, for Eladio and Alexander, they weren't so lucky. They were instantly killed on impact. Being doused in fuel, the wreckage continued to burn until there was basically nothing left. The National Transport Safety Board report of this crash was later released, and it was a damning report. For aircraft that are not airworthy but need to be relocated for maintenance, a special flight permit, often called a ferry permit, is required. However, in this case, there was no ferry permit, technically making this flight illegal. The report also highlighted the litany of issues with the aircraft, highlighting the significant engine problems, terrible corrosion, and the engine issues. In this report,
and did y'all just hear what I gotta stop it, y'all? Because did y'all just hear what Ryan just said, man? Not only was the damn the airplane a piece of shit, it was illegal for y'all to even be flying it. Y'all doing illegal, like they just living the wrong way, doing illegal ish, flying pieces of shit planes. Like, come on, man.
Report. Witnesses also came forward, stating that they told Eladio not to fly the plane and that it was very dangerous, but he just didn't listen. The report ultimately condemned the flight, stating that the aircraft was not airworthy, and if the maintenance work had been allowed to be completed, the crash would have never occurred. Him taking flight was very irresponsible and selfish. This crash could have been so worse. It could have crashed into another building and killed 20, 30 people.
Yep.
I know you're not pilots, but all of us can take a lesson from this. It doesn't matter how experienced that you think you are, things can always go wrong. If multiple people are telling you that something is a bad idea and it could end your life, it's so important to listen to them. Never let your ego blind you to the risks in life, because all of us are just one mistake from our last.
Yep. Damn, man.
But that is the end of the video. May the 2 protesters that passed away rest in peace, as well as the other folks featured in this video. Now I'll say it just one more time before I find another word, but wowzers trousers. The clips I featured just jaw-dropping. From the bridge collapse in Baltimore to the footballer backflip, these clips truly reinforce what I mean about life is sacred. But starting from the top, we've got the Florida plane crash, a totally avoidable and senseless tragedy. One that could have ended many, many more lives. I know that Eladio didn't intend to cause any of this, and it was an accident, but when you're given a million red flags and you choose to ignore them, eventually it ends up being your fault.
Yeah.
Then we've got the grand entrance in India. What can I say? This should have been tested many, many times prior to the night, and while it is possible it could have been tested, it can't have been tested with people inside. It's clear that the people on there, it was completely unsteady. But to fall to your death in front of 700 people, trying to impress, it doesn't get more crazy and unbelievable than that.
Yeah.
The bridge collapse in Baltimore, I'm sure you've all heard of this one, but you know I had to include it eventually. The footage that emerged from that night was truly shocking. I recall waking up that morning and it was plastered on every social media feed, but we didn't quite understand what we were actually watching at the time. The ship really shouldn't have set sail with the existing electrical faults, and like I said, this is still being investigated and people still may be held responsible. Of course, hindsight is always 20/20. Peter, who tried to do a backflip in front of the crowd, only for it to kill him, the footage was shocking and disturbing. And I'm sure I'll probably catch an age restriction or something due to that for including this footage. It's important to remember that when you're hyped up and people are egging you on, think about safety. Backflips, while they do look cool, are super dangerous due to the high possibility of spinal and neck injuries, often causing life-changing injuries or even instant death. If you're going to do anything like that, make sure you've got some proper training to avoid a tragedy yourself. And last, but certainly not least, the Panama protester shooting. Mate, this one was wild. Absolutely wild. There's so many questions, but so little answers. Yes, it's obvious you're going to get annoyed at a protester who's blocking your road, but to do something like this is just flat out crazy. He got out of his car, believing that he was the main character. He barely spoke to the people before pulling out a deadly weapon and demanded they move. You'd think the fact because he was old and heavily educated he would have reacted differently, but no, he reacted insane. I'm glad his wife refused to drive away, and I'm also glad he was sentenced to such a long sentence, but this won't bring back the 2 teachers who lost their lives. Him being behind bars will never repair the 2 families that he shattered. Overall, it's a tragic outcome for all.
True.
But most importantly, what did you guys think of this one? As always, you guys know I read every single comment below, so let me know what you thought. I'm particularly interested in all your thoughts regarding the protester one, because that was just absolutely insane. But just before I go, if you've got this far into the video and you look down there and you've not subscribed, go down there and tickle that subscribe button, and don't forget to smash that notification bell on the way out to be alerted when I release content such as this. But I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.
Go subscribe to freaking Ryan from Tragedy Tale, my brothers and sisters. If you subscribe to me and you not subscribed to that guy right there, man, go do it freaking right now. Then come back to the end of this video, man. Oh my freaking God, y'all. These were some of the most, like, ones that hit me the most and was most shocking. Well, I guess all Ryan-ish like this. Like, it never ceases to shock and amaze me, man. Long story short, story long. And we just gonna run down them real quick, y'all. Let's just run down them real quick. We gonna start from number 5, which was the freaking plane, man. That dude, like, man, I don't even want to harp on this stuff even more, man. Cause, like, come on, bro. You know this damn plane ain't worth a damn thing. You know what I'm saying? You still taking it out in the air. And not only are you putting your life in danger and the people's life in danger who are on the flight with you, which was another guy. Rest in peace to both of them. I will say rest in peace. But you're also putting other people's lives in danger, and you just so bullheaded and believing that you know what you're doing. You ever met somebody who just know what the freak they doing and can't nobody tell them different, even though it's like you telling them, bro, the freaking stove is on fire, but they're like, no, it ain't on fire, man. I got it. I can goddamn, it's just a little flames, man. That shit about to burn the whole house down. You know what I'm saying? Have you ever met those people in your life, man? But like I said, rest in peace to them. It's just a freaking tragedy. And I will say, thank God that nobody else had to suffer from that, because like Ryan said, man, that could have potentially killed a lot more people, and it was so freaking avoidable. Now, the number 4 one, I wouldn't even, it was avoidable, but Peter didn't know, man. Peter was just doing a damn backflip. You know what I'm saying? I can't even freaking like blame him for doing something that a lot of people do every freaking day. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure that when his first time attempting a backflip, it just so happened at that time he attempted a backflip and it cost him his life. And like I said, man, yeah, the cool kids used to do backflips back when I was young, but I tried it a little bit, y'all, but I was too scared, man. I was like, nah, man, I keep feel like I'm about to goddamn break my neck, bust my face on the damn, we went flipping on the damn concrete. We was in the grass, but I ain't even want to hit my face in the grass. Like, that just went for me. But rest in peace to Peter, man. That's just crazy how things like that can happen to you out of nowhere and end your freaking life. The third one with the bridge, y'all. Seeing that footage of that bridge collapse was just like holy effing sugar, honey, iced tea to me. You know what I'm saying? But like what the fuck, man? Out of nowhere, bro. Out of nowhere, being team, that just happened, man. And rest in peace to those 6 guys just doing their job, construction work. Didn't have no idea that was about to happen, and when it happened, they couldn't do nothing but accept fate. And their fate was to pass away on that day. Rest in peace to them. And I hope they family, man. I hope they family get some type of compensation for that. Number two, this one was like the most weird one. The guys who fell, I think it was 2 of them, Hun-G, somebody, they fell from the platform way up in the air. It's crazy because number one, I thought that the whole place was gonna catch on fire when Ryan was talking about the pyrotechnics, but also they claimed that a wire was snapped or something, but me looking at it, I didn't see any wire getting snapped or nothing, man. Just some kind of randomly or crazily way they fell, and one of them ended up losing their life, man, and I hope the other one ended up surviving. Oh my God, y'all, this was so good. And it started off just crazy as H with this freaking 77-year-old dude. Can't remember his name. Don't really even want to remember his name. Just happy that he locked up for the rest of his life. Because for him to get out his car at the age of 77 freaking years old, my brother says, you are seasoned. You are a seasoned veteran in the game of life. You know what I'm saying, man? You have been here long enough. And not only that, I think he was a college professor and a lawyer. Like, you are the highest standards of knowing right from wrong. You know the laws and everything. You know that there's a lot of people watching you. It's a lot of cameras on you. It's literally footage of a cameraman circling around him while he got this gun out, threatening to kill people, and then he actually did it right then and there. And not only did he do it, after he did it, he thought he was gonna get back in his car and his wife was gonna drive them home and they was gonna eat them a nice dinner with a little peach cobbler for dessert, watch them some freaking of the Andy Griffin show or whatever the hell, you know what I'm saying, and go to sleep for the rest of the night and wake up tomorrow and everything all good. No, bro, you just shot people, man. You literally just shot people, bro. You gotta face those consequences, and I'm glad he did. Long story short, short story long, my brothers and sisters. I digress. I'm about gonna let y'all go now, man. We have been here long enough. I appreciate y'all coming on back as always. I hate that we couldn't do the live stream today, but being for real, y'all, it really was a blessing in disguise because when we do it next weekend, it's gonna be a lot bigger and it's gonna be a lot better. So y'all make sure y'all come on back for that. And also, make sure that y'all come on back tomorrow because tomorrow is Sunday. And y'all know that we go to the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Ballin'. And y'all know it's going to go down. But until then, my friends, please, 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 please hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and do all that if you ain't did that yet. And remember this. Love, peace, and happiness. Stay safe. Don't stop. Keep going. Yeah.